Good morning, March 17th, 2016. Petra here, handing you your DGI brief. Here are my top 5 stories from around the globe, starting with Syria. ISIS have lost more than 22% of their territory since they self-proclaimed a caliphate in 2014. We'll have to see if and how the Russian withdrawal from Syria will affect this downward trend for ISIS, but it is certainly an encouraging statistic. Brazil. More massive protests erupted across Brazil after former President Lula da Silva accepted a position as President Rousseff's chief of staff, and after wiretap phone conversations exposed that the president offered this position to Lula da Silva to shield him from prosecution for corruption. Yemen. The Saudi Arabia-led coalition fighting Houthi rebels in Yemen announced it will scale down their combat operations. The coalition forces provided air and ground campaigns in Yemen for almost a year, amid constant damning reports by the UN and human rights organizations that their airstrikes were disproportionately killing civilians. Italy. Italian officials report a spike in migrant crossings from Libya due to good weather conditions on the Mediterranean. In the last 3 days alone, the Coast Guards picked up 3,100 migrants. Generally speaking, these are economic migrants, not refugees fleeing war and persecution, and therefore majority of them will not qualify for any form of asylum or residency in Europe. Honduras. Another Honduran indigenous activist was murdered yesterday. Nelson Garcia was shot in eerily similar circumstances as his dear friend, environmentalist leader Berta Caceres, slain less than 2 weeks ago. But the Honduran police insist this too was an isolated act of violence. Let's talk more about this. Berta Caceres and Nelson Garcia dedicated their lives to peacefully fight, to protect and recover the lands of indigenous populations, to plant and preserve nature. They opposed development projects that were very lucrative, but threatened to poison their water and destroy the environment. Their murders were neither isolated nor random, and no matter how often the Honduran government claims this, the world knows the truth. That is why I would like to applaud FMO, a Dutch development bank. It announced yesterday the suspension of its operations in Honduras because of the killings. The bank finances about $86 million worth of projects, including some that both of the activists opposed. That is why the bank decided it will not participate in or financially support any current or new projects until the Honduran government takes serious steps to stop the ongoing violence and killings in the country. What a phenomenal example of corporate social responsibility. Wow, FMO. And that concludes my top 5. Now, let's get out there and make it a good day. And remember, if you think you can, or you think you can't, you're right. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.